An integer, right, is called an int in Java. An int can hold integers that are between, and you don't have to write this part down, but between this terrible negative number and the positive version of it. They're giant. But there are integers that are above this number that you might have to store sometime, and then you store them in things like longs and other stuff. So please know that there are other things beyond int, but in this class we're just going to stick with int. Alright, so if I declared and initialized A, B, C, and D like this, that's on your worksheet, you could show addition and subtraction and multiplication this way. The only one I'm concerned about is multiplication. Please know you have the cute little star, that's multiplication. For those of you who have never typed this before, you can have spaces in between here, you can just jam it all together, whatever is most readable to a human, all right? We write code for humans as well as computers. So go ahead and get your spacing to be something that allows you to read it correctly. But it doesn't matter whether there's white space in between these or not. Now it's dividing where this gets complicated. So if you wanted to find the division, the result of D divided by B, right? So you know that D is 14 and B is 4. So you've got 14 divided by 4. And you're expecting that to come out as 3.5? Well, it turns out it won't. Okay, so when you have one integer divided by another integer, Java is going to expect that the answer is going to be an integer. It's going to do what's called integer division. And so it's going to take whatever your answer is and it's going to truncate it. So this will truncate 3.5. If you think of like the trunk of a tree or the trunk of your body, if you truncate it, you cut off the branches, you cut off whatever. You're just left with it's getting bloody, huh? You're just left with the trunk. So it cuts off the decimal here and it's just left with this. It doesn't round, it just hacks it off, all right? Okay, so 14 divided by 4, instead of coming out as 3.5, will come out as 3, all right? Now, if you wanted that extra piece, you could get it. You would do this thing called mod. D mod B will essentially do, like if you were doing long division, right? So I'm dividing 4 into 14, right? 4 goes into 1, 0 times. 4 goes into 14 3 times, 12, subtract 2, 3, remainder 2. This piece right here is what you get from modulo. All right? That's kind of weird. So we're going to talk next about what happens when you actually want decimals. Remember, we were just talking about ints, but we're about to move into doubles. And doubles will allow you to get those decimals. All right, doubles can hold numbers with decimal places. So if it's got a decimal place in it, it is not an integer, it's going to be a double. Here I've initialized a bunch of doubles for you, they're on your worksheet. And the first thing I'd like you to do is to write what is the area of a circle. So you say area equals, and how would you write that with these variables? So go ahead and pause, take a second, and write that down. All right, so area equals, you want pi r squared. So pi times r, wait a minute. So it's really tempting to do this, right? But that doesn't exist in Java. Java doesn't recognize that. So if you want this, you're actually going to have to multiply it out twice, r times r, which is completely ridiculous. So people have written libraries that allow you to do different kinds of math so that you don't have to do that. But in just basic Java that comes to you, and we'll talk more about the libraries, but just the way it comes, you have to write out the times this twice. So dividing doubles works just the way you think it works, which is good news. This top one is on your sheet, but the rest of these aren't. You should put them there because they're kind of strange. So if you have these two doubles and they're you're dividing them, you get 3.5, just like you expected to before with integers, right? If you have a double divided by an integer, you're still going to get a double. It's going to say, oh, well, you had a double, you had decimals, you've acknowledged that you're okay with them, we're going to keep that. So this is also going to end up as 3.5. If you have an integer divided by a double, same thing. It's still 3.5. But this, as soon as you lose the double in this operation and it's just integers, it becomes integer division again, and you end up with just 3. It'll do the truncation. Right? So this becomes integer division, but as long as there's a double in the mix, it kind of pollutes it and it ends up with doubles. Something like that, if you want to think about it that way. All right. The rest of this we're going to talk about in class.